Hello, I'm FKX Toycat, and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I give you a weekly update as to what's going on in my survival world, and indeed my life, the universe, and everything in between. This is going to be a particularly fun episode because last week we did mundane tasks, right? So obviously the step up from that should be to go back to doing something exciting and brand new, right? Like the big X that has a weird Triforce in there for some reason. Like a brand new big project, right, that's going to have some big significance, and that is definitely what we're doing today because I am heading over to my desert, my now actually very torched up desert, which is part of the reason why I have so many torches on me. I have 64 here and a few more stacks in there. That's after we've kind of slimmed that down. I have a lot of torches on me today, and that is relevant to what we're doing because I need to get a bunch of stone because we are working on a brand new, except kind of worked on a little bit before, but only in live stream, so most of you probably don't know it. But yeah, today I'm taking a bunch of stone and I'm gonna be, working on a stone-related project. You probably know what said stone-related project is, but that's half the fun, isn't it? Also, something you've probably seen already, but I've been doing a lot of dirt placement, so this shulker box will come in there handy too. There's been a lot of stone and a lot of, like, dirt demand in my world, which on the one hand seems like, wow, you sure are doing, like, somewhat uncreative builds, right, Toycat? But on the other hand, it's kind of cool to make use of everything in your Minecraft world. It kind of fits the real-life trend of, like, haha, reuse and recycle, right? Or is it reduce, reuse, recycle? I don't know what you're reducing in your Minecraft world, but you probably can reuse things effectively because every single block you move in your Minecraft world, with very few exceptions, like, I don't know, grass or something, every single block you break in Minecraft can then be placed later on down the line, and I love making use of even the weird blocks, like the stones in this case, and that's what we're doing in today's video. But first, let me just pick up all the rest of the stone that we have lying around in other parts of the world, because of course, we need as much stone as we can get our hands on if we're going to do this effectively. Apparently, there's not much stone for me to get my hands on, because I've used all of it for said project, which again, some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you are still very confused. Toycat, what's with all this stone you're doing, like you shouldn't be getting so stoned in a Minecraft video, Although I'm pretty sure we killed all the stone-related jokes when we did the farming wheat for a whole episode. That was very, very funny. I'm glad you will agree with me. So, anyway, what's going on in this episode besides just placing all the stone in a yet unseen project? I'm going to be walking through the Nether to get to the area of that. And I also wanted to talk about the fact that I've been gone for the better part of 2 weeks now. I mean, it's been something like, I don't know, 11 days that I've been out. But I missed a Let's Play episode. In fact, I think I missed 2. And because of that, I don't know, there's something like a disconnection, I feel like, that I want to, like, bridge over. Again, there is some part of this series, at least. I wouldn't say everything on this channel. A lot of this channel is, like, information, like sharing things with all of you. But there's also a part of the Let's Play series where it really is, like, catching up with a bunch of people that are like, hey, I would actually, I care if you care if I'm gone, etc, etc. And so as a result, and it's the same with live streams, I'd say, like, there really is a different audience to the majority of my videos and then the Let's Plays and the live streams. That's why I read the comments on these videos, because in general, gonna have to always keep the asterisks on that since the weird quoting incident, but like in general, the comments here are much more reasonable, and in general, they're ones that I actually enjoy reading and responding to, as opposed to YouTube comments. I mean, again, you're probably not meant to say this as a YouTuber, but YouTube comments, not a thing that should be inflicted on anyone, right? Like, when it comes to, like, problems in the world right now, we've got, like, ISIS, we've got, like, okay, yeah, there's real problems in the, the regulation space of both the European Union and also the United States, but then also, we've got the YouTube comments that's, somewhere in there. Actually, are there other issues besides those things? I feel like somewhat ignorant, though, off the top of my head, I can't name, like, a global issue besides those things. But, there are world issues right now. Actually, I think ISIS is mostly gone. So YouTube comments is, like, easily #1 or #2 issue worldwide. And as a result of that... Look how my pickaxe is just fading away from the... whatever, we don't expect perfection from Bedrock. That is an unreasonable... thing to demand. So anyway, yeah, what we're doing today is we're working on the covering of our biome in stone, just a little bit, and while we do so, I want to talk about some things that I've realized in my time away and maybe help you with the same things. And yeah, this is a biome I'm covering in stone. Why am I doing it? I mean, why does anyone do anything is always my response to these sorts of questions, and in this case, I get to claim, like, the environment, right? Oh yeah, that's a thing people think, that's a thing that is a very big issue, right? Like, oh yeah, the environment's probably dying, vaguely. I mean, actually, wait, that's not a thing you're meant to say. The environment is dying, it is known, and as a result, people are upset. Apparently, people are like, wow, we need air to breathe, but you know what you need more than air to breathe? you need a better YouTube comment system. That's why that's number 2 issue and environment's number 3. Anyway, so with that, with that said and out of the way, let's talk at least a little bit about what I've been up to, because I was in the United States of America, which is where some number of you live, and it was a fun time. I always, honestly, like, there's a lot of things to enjoy about America, which I'm going to keep calling it, even though some percentage of people are like, oh, it's actually the United States of America. America is the continent, even though in the Western world we teach this, the model where they're 2 separate continents, and no one actually calls them one continent unless you're a Spanish speaker, but this video is notably not in Spanish. Fun fact, did you know I'm speaking English right now? Here's a fun fact with Toy Cat, I am. So yeah, fun... I've got to stop like picking random battles before I've even started a video. So let's start on something that isn't even a battle, which is I got back, and to get back I had to fly, and so there's something really interesting about every time I fly back from let's say North America back to the UK, is that it's a very jet lag inducing flight. Like the concept of jet lag, a lot of people just use it to mean like I was on a plane and that was a thing I did. But like, you know, you don't realize what it is till you fly from North America to Europe, and you basically have to sleep on the plane, but also you can't sleep in an airline seat, right? I don't know if anyone's ever given that a try, but sitting up sleeping, there's a reason only Buddhist monks do it, and that's because it's not very fun. And Buddhist monks love things that are not very fun, so it, you know, perfectly works out for them. If I was a Buddhist monk, I would enjoy flying on that particular series of flights. But the reason I say all of this is because I got crazy, you know, what I've been up to in the past week. I flew, and I got really tired as a result. And, but while being really tired, one of the things I kind of noticed about myself is I made a lot of poor decisions in the other aspects of my life, I would vaguely say. I forgot to review a video that then went out and was just, it was broken. The video was just, every, you know, like, cut in there was, like, wrong. It was cutting off my own sentences to then, like, have blank... basically, yeah, it was cutting off my sentences and having like blank air. I didn't review it before uploading it, which is something I usually do because I have editors who put videos together, and it's important to make sure that the video is correct, and it's on me if I don't do that before it goes up. So yeah, made a really big mistake on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I just woke up late and was like, oh god, it's like 4 hours to go time, and the news today sucks. So we'll just replace it with, you know, like every decision I made was kind of questionable on that angle. Also, you know, like things are going, I would say, badly as far as the channel as a whole is concerned. It's not a big deal for the most part right now, but it's like, okay, that's a problem. Also, I've been eating like terribly. Like as soon as I got back, I was just like, well, I'll eat this, and I won't explain what I ate, but I made some poor eating decisions, and I didn't even make them like thinking like, oh yeah, this is gonna be such a good thing. It was just like, I need food, put it inside of me. I don't care what it is, just I want to eat. And then I wanted to eat again an hour later, and I just ate another meal. And then I wanted to eat 2 hours later, and I just had a whole nother meal. Like my body isn't quite understanding the concept of meals right now, partly because I'm sleepy, which made me realize like, wait a minute, what if? Because a lot of people like to talk about like, oh yeah, there's this big thing called jet lag. I don't want to be the guy who's like, it clearly isn't a thing, because it clearly is. There is a common pattern of people flying and then, you know, having diminished ability to live life for a little bit afterwards. But that's a really dramatic way to put it, actually. But one of the things that made me realize is like, maybe all it is, you know, depriving yourself of sleep. Bad idea in general, because I've had similar results when I've like had a thing I needed to do, and then I just didn't sleep before it. And then I realized, like, maybe what it really just is like, sleep is really important, and we never really value why. Like, one of the simplest changes you can make in your life to just improve your ability to live it the way you want to is just take a nap every now and again, man. Like, it's really that simple, and I think about it on, like, the surface level of, like, why, you know, because it empirically doesn't seem true that, like, did you see that, by the way? Like, that was very strange. But, it probably shouldn't be true that the more you sleep, the better you are at controlling yourself, because sleep shouldn't be tied into those things. But I think it just objectively is what happens. Like, when you sleep more, you are in more control of your life, whatever the reason may be. Maybe, like, some of your brain power is always devoted to, are you asleep right now? Or, you know, are you tired and are you asleep? You should be doing that. This Let's Play, I think I'm way worse at speaking today. I think I'm, like, this feels way less warm and polished or whatever else I've usually done these videos. Because right now, I'm just kind of, like, trying to put my brain together. And a part of me is just going, go to sleep, buddy. You know, you could do with some sleep. It's 1 a.m. as you're recording this, but you know what? It could be, but that's like, UK time. For the record, I'm just not sleeping on UK time for a bit. My actual clock is set back. It's just my PC clock that says 1 a.m. But yeah, basically, while I am tired, a part of my brain is just always focused on go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Even though I know I can't sleep because I just took a nap and like, basically being sleep deprived, I think is actually, like people, there are always so many studies saying, hey, if you sleep this number of hours of life, it's such a big improvement. And I think the only reason that's true, the only reason jet lag's a thing, the only reason that you need to sleep is because it improves your self-control. I have a very bold, or maybe not bold theory, but I think all it is sleep equals ability to control yourself because you have more ability. You're more, you're more with it. And when you're more able to control yourself, you can more do the things that make you a happy, successful human. One of the harder lessons to learn is just how much of life comes down to how well can you resist some of your base level instinct urges. Like, for me to be healthy, I have to constantly not eat ice cream. And you might think, wow, not eating ice cream, what a struggle. But like, really is a struggle. Like, man, I walked past an ice cream section and was like, I would love to have 4 tubs. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm gonna feel really, really bad later on if I do that. Not to mention, beyond just like, eating a tub of ice cream feels bad when you've done it, then bad when you have to deal with the results of that. But also, it does a bad thing to your body as a whole because ice cream's very calorie dense. I actually don't think it's calorie dense. I think it's just easy to eat a lot of. I think like oil is very calorie dense and like so is sugar. But I think ice cream is actually pretty good if you could limit how much ice cream you had. But most people don't limit how much ice cream they have because they don't have the self-control. I mean, I don't have the self-control either, right? I eat a tub at a time, and now you see my point that like just having control of yourself in any realm is the whole thing that leads to like fitness and health, etc. Like all the information is out there if you want to be wildly healthy in the in the fitness game. If you want to be wildly successful in most industries, I'm going to say entertainment's like a weird exception because there's a decent degree of luck involved. But in most industries, it's just like, hey, the information's out there. You have to do a lot of things you don't like for a decent amount of time, and then you can have results. But that's something that is awful. I'm not going to stand out here and say, oh yeah, anyone can do it. Because not anyone can do it. Because having control of yourself for years in a row is something I don't do on a regular basis. It's something I imagine a decent proportion of you can't. But I think that the easiest way to improve your ability at doing that is just get some sleep more. I think one of the common trends amongst people who, like, because, I speak to a lot of people who are wildly intelligent and wildly like good at a thing they do, but also sometimes like feel lost. I don't know, it's just, I feel like that's a common problem in maybe, let's just say young people as a whole, right? Like, there are a lot of people I know who work very hard or are very good, but also don't something results, right? And I think a lot of that is like, a lot of the common factor is just like bad sleep and tiredness, because sleep is something we still don't really understand why we do as humans, but that's why I like to take it within my control and be like, what if the only reason sleep is valuable? What if the literal one reason we should do it is because it improves our ability to be in control of ourselves? And if you think of it that way, it's just like, oh, well, I would like to be in control of the actions I do as a person, and then I use that as kind of like my guiding thing of like, this is why you should sleep every night. This is why when you have several nights in a row where you don't sleep, you should try and fix that pretty fast. I don't know, like, I guess I've always, like, understood sleep is important, but also, I think everyone understands sleep is important. It's just, it always comes up and it's like, well, 1 hour more of doing something really important versus an hour of sleep, that just kind of makes sense. I think the real tricky thing to do is to work out when you need to switch from that mode into the mode of, like, oh yeah, there's a thing that I really need to do. Either I've got to sleep an hour more, but if my schedule doesn't permit, then I can do this thing later another day or something. And that's like a big lesson I need to learn, but also that I've not learned, because here I am at 1 a.m. recording a Let's Play video, which I don't think actually makes too much sense. Again, maybe this is just because I'm like rusty, but to me, I don't think I've made... Oh, did a creeper just explode? Was there a skeleton, perhaps? There is, in fact, a skeleton down there. I don't know why it's, like, mobs are spawning, even though it's not true dark yet. I'm very offended by that concept. But yeah, let's go to sleep. You see this? See the beautiful metaphor right here? I'm going to sleep, and then my problems are going away. isn't that something you could do in your own world? Although actually, I've often thought, like, there are probably perverse incentives in, like, because every now and then I try to give, like, advice that, like, has come up in my life and maybe can help you, because, you know, most advice most people give is pretty generic and useless in my experience. Like, oh, you know, why don't you, you know, like, I think most advice is pretty vacuous, even though, because, I mean, what you got to do is say a certain number of words in the right order, like, hey, have you considered eating healthy and believing in yourself? Yeah, believing in myself is something I never considered, actually. Like, I previously, until this point, was very much team anti-Toy Cat. But now you mention that I should be on my own side. Wow, I really am trying that. Yeah, a lot of advice comes down to, like, believe in yourself. And I actually think the reason isn't so bad. I think it is just, like, a lot of people do just need to be told that. Like, hey, you know what? You're not so bad. You're actually pretty good. Because confidence is a surprisingly useful thing in the world. That's why I pretend I know how to make videos, even though it's clear I don't. Although recently, on the channel, we hit 500 million views. Isn't that a cool thing? I think that's a real cool thing. But yeah, in these Let's Play episodes, for instance, I sometimes worry, like, why... I have a real preference for tasks that are simple to improve on. Even though these are, like, very much not the most interesting tasks to look at. Because the progress we'll have made today is we'll have expanded the stone a little bit. And, I don't know, like, the progress you see before and after a Minecraft video, they're like, what just happened there? But, those are the things that are, most interesting to see, right? And you kind of lose some of that when you do, like, a big project. But also, at the same time as that being true, it's also a bit like, I would like to show you what my real Minecraft, like, most of my real Minecraft time looks like. And then also, on top of that, it's like, the more simple the task is that I'm doing physically, the more I'm able to, like, talk. And the talking part of these is, like, the bit I really enjoy. It's the reason I've kept the Let's Play series around, even though, again, it'd be much more profitable not to. This is, like, very much a, kind of like a... It's less profitable than making any other video that would have done well, because it also hurts the overall click-through rates and watch times on the channel, etc., etc. Like, it has negative impacts as a whole on the channel. But it's something I really enjoy because it's an opportunity to speak about things that have been on my mind. Like, one of the things I've been trying to work out is, like, along the same lines of, oh yeah, sometimes people, you know, so much of advice and stuff like that just comes down to believe in yourself. And it's pretty simple, basic, vacuous statements that no one really needs to... it's not new information, it's reinforcing existing information, because humans are much better at hearing what they already know, but hearing it from someone from authority, than they are at, like, actually learning new things. There's a reason that so many arguments, you don't ever change someone's minds, you just make them realize what they already thought. Simple things like that, like, the reality is like, people think the number one authority is themselves. Sometimes they just want to hear what's already inside, kind of repeat it back to them, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I'm sure I'm the same, right? But there's a lot of advice out there that I think is really, really, really simple and really basic, but is uninteresting to hear because it's not already inside you, but can improve your life a little bit. It's stuff you probably should hear, but you haven't already. And I want to go through some of that, like stuff like, I don't know, go to sleep, you idiot. You know, it's something you already know, but it's not inside your head. But like, sorry, that's something you already do know. What about advice you don't know? What about things that, as soon as you know, it can become instinctive and it can help you out a lot, but that no one wants to say because it's not fun to say things not already in your brain? Like, for instance, let's say that the best thing in the world was when you mix cheese and bread, which actually, by the way, it is, like, bread and cheese, solid combination. But like, if I say that to you, maybe you already know that, but if you didn't know that, you'd be like, I don't know, doesn't seem so great to me, I'm not going to try that. But let me tell you some things you should try, because I just got back from a very international trip, and maybe some of these things are useful. Because tip number one, if you travel internationally ever, bring a pen with you, because it'll make your, like, you can save yourself, like, hours of your life just by bringing a pen. No matter how much a pen costs, even if it's one of those $5, $10 pens. I don't know how much a pen costs because I steal them from hotel rooms. But, like, whatever a pen costs, bring a pen with you when you travel somewhere. There are lots of documents you have to fill out to get into a lot of countries, including the US if you are an EU or really any citizen. But bring a pen so you can fill out the form on the plane rather than having to wait and get to the ground. I think every now and then you can, like, borrow a pen from the staff, but they only have 1 pen to give usually, and usually someone steals it and then it's gone. So, pro tip, what you want to do is you want to bring a pen. I think bringing a pen in a lot of situations is probably good advice too, but it's especially good advice when you're traveling internationally. Second of all, if you get paid any amount of money, which, you know, some decent number if you are, like that's a thing. The one tip, this is like something everyone should do, but it's counterintuitive, so no one does it, and it can really mess up your ability to save. Hey, would you like to have money in the long term? I bet you would. How do you have money in the long term when saving's so hard because you'd like to spend the money now, or you feel like you need to spend the money now? It's something called pay yourself first. I'm pretty sure I've heard Warren Buffett say it somewhere. So this is backed by an authority on money, the 2nd richest American, maybe the 3rd richest American. One of the top 5 richest people in the world, okay? It doesn't matter if he's 3rd or 4th or 5th. He's a wildly frugal guy, by the way, like Warren Buffett. Like, I enjoy listening to rich people, because there's a real fascinating thing, because you get like different types of them. Anyway, so basically, pay yourself first is the basic concept of, hey, when you get paid whatever amount of money, let's say you get paid $600 per month. That sounds like an amount of money. Actually, wait, yeah, let's use a real amount of money that I lived off when I was living by myself. I was being paid something like £700 a month on YouTube when I was like first moving out by myself, which was a questionable idea at the time, but like it was how things were. It'd sometimes go down to like 500, sometimes go up. Like, actually, I think yeah, like just over 1,000 was the highest. But the idea was, hey, when I get paid, no matter what else is here, unless it's like rent or something, the first person I pay, the most important priority, it's not going to be rent. It's not going to be, oh yeah, I need like an anime body pillow. Although, you know, I'll understand if you want to pay for that first. But the number one thing that you need in your life is you need to get yourself you know, like some form of savings that you do every single month, regardless of what else. Because one, like, again, savings work by building slowly over the long term. You don't just one day get paid and then have savings. Like, a lot of people think of savings like the lottery, like, oh, one day I'll get paid $1 million, I'll save 100k, and then it doesn't matter how many weeks that I don't save £100 or £10 or whatever the small amounts may be. Like, again, just pick a percentage, 10, 20, 30. I recommend one of those. Save it every single time you get paid, and if as long as you treat yourself as the most important customer of your own money, then you'll start to build money in the long term, and you can borrow money for yourself. And if you borrow money for yourself, you pay no interest because you are the bank, you are you. And all of a sudden, you can go from, you know, potentially having to pay interest at some point to being on the side where you make interest. Because fun fact, there's 2 ways banks can work. There's the side where they take money from you in exchange for, you know, borrowing money, and there's the side where they borrow your money and they, you know, give you interest for it. Although really they don't borrow it because it's in a saving. But let's not explain how banks work right now. But you can make money on your money if you have money. But if you don't have money, then you lose money. Isn't that sad? Wouldn't you like to be on the other end of that? Start saving today, unless you can't for whatever reason. But yeah, if you have any regular amount of money, then there's a thing, and then you can actually know the spare money is actually spare, rather than having this confusing thing everyone else has set up, where like, oh yeah, the saving money is the same as the other money, but I know a certain amount of it needs to be saved, but how much of it? I mean, does it matter if my savings go down a little bit? No, separate account, separate amount, you know, just, oh, that rhymed, but you know how much should be going in there every week. It'll save you a lot of pain and a lot of effort. So, another tip, because, again, I feel like there's a lot of, like, basic money tips I'd really love to give in a whole separate channel one day. I'll let you know if I ever do that, because I think finance as a subject is just wildly interesting to me. Because, again, it's the thing that makes you able to live a better life if you can master it. It's like, imagine, it's the skill which is the easiest to get good results from. Like, you know, if you know how to be good at fitness, then, okay, yeah, you can be super in shape. But to me, if I could pick, like, one of the whatever aspects of life, like, I'd say there's, like, work, there's relationships, there's all these other things. I think the one, love, I guess, instead of relationships, let's say. I think the one that is probably the most important would be, yeah, I think the one that would be most important would probably have to be the money side. Because once you've got that sorted, it doesn't solve your problems, but having money to throw at all your other problems can make them better. Whereas you can't throw love at a money problem. Maybe you can, actually. Can you throw love at a fitness problem? I don't think you can. Yeah, I think money's the only one that is like let's say there's like 4 aspects, right? There's like fulfillment, there's money, there's relationships, and then there's fitness. You know, like they're the 4 big things people need in life, I would say. Yeah, only one of those things helps the other ones. And that's why there's a skill you can learn that makes you good at it. Pro tip with Toycat. I'll talk about this another time because someone's going to be like, Toycat, don't you know it's a Minecraft video? And Minecraft is played exclusively by children, even though I'm not a children. And children don't need finance tips, even though I just benefited from those in some way. Because that's what people sound like. I think oh, here's an interesting thing. Because of the, whatchamacallit, is it called COPPA, like Child Online Privacy Protection Act? Something like that. There's an American law that takes effect over the entire world, which is silly in my opinion. They're like, oh yeah, you know how America gets to regulate the world's internet? No, that doesn't make sense. Guess what? Apparently, being subject to someone's jurisdiction is not important. Have to follow their laws. But anyway, so yeah, it's an issue a lot of YouTubers running into because for the longest time, a lot of Minecraft channels have specifically been focusing and aiming at kids. I'll be honest, like whatever, respect the graft, the hustle, whatever people call it these days, because sure, like you want to make some money, and if you feel like, you know, making content that isn't great for you to enjoy is a worthwhile trade-off, that's cool. I get that as a whole. Like, but one of the things I've always done is I've made content that I would enjoy and is aimed at like not an age range, because I think that just seems limiting to me. But anyway, yeah, we're just kind of going off on a side tangent here. So one of the things as a result of the fact that there is now a law that basically says if your content attracts or is aimed at children, you something money, basically, just to keep things simple, like because the ads can't be targeted. If your content is aimed at children, because parents aren't able to control their children, is what the law basically says, the videos cannot track the viewers of that video, which, you know, sounds like a privacy win on some level, I guess you could say. But it also means that, like, all the channels that have spent years going, like, this is family-friendly, or, like, you know, kid-friendly even, you know, content, like, none of this, none of that. As a result, those channels are going for a whole thing. And, you know, like, eventually it could even be a problem for me. Because even though I've said repeatedly, like, this is not a channel for children, do not let your, you know, like, watch, if you want your children to watch this, review it with them, something like that. In fact, pro tip, if you have children, how about review whatever they're watching, you know? Like, imagine if we did the same thing we did with, like, devices, but in the real world, where it's like, oh, yeah, so I send my 4-year-old and the wild, and I trust that, like, you know, there's protections out there, there's police officers, they'll stop them from committing crimes or being, you know, kidnapped, right? And it's like, no, you are, you know, the way society works is you're responsible for your offspring, right? That's the whole, that's not even society, that's just, that's literally being a functioning mammal, right? Like, we give birth to young, and then we generally try to protect them. And yeah, so the reason I mention that is because I think it's wacky that there's a law in general, but also I think it's wacky that, like, now there's a big interest in, even if you do make content that is specifically for children, you're meant to say that it's not, which is probably very confusing because this whole time I've been saying that it's not, and now I think you gotta, like, double down on the level of, like, oh yeah, I've already said this, but hey, are you a child watching this? Get out of here, your parents don't love you. You know, if I can say things like that all I like. But even if we can get past the issue of, like, what even is, you know, like, the idea of, like, this or that, I think we run into the real issue that, like, oh, now it makes sense, like, financial sense, that if you have been aiming at children this whole time, and you need to deliberately not, you have to then take all of your subscribers, which are statistically children, and sometimes children on their parents' accounts, and you have to kind of tell them, like, hey, I'm not a kid's channel anymore because it makes me, like, 70-80% less money, and therefore you have a lot of child subscribers on non-child-friendly content, and because it's not child-friendly content, they are being tracked even though they are children, and it's like, so did we just invent a system where there's a huge incentive to track previously, whatever, there's this whole problem. I will say, from anecdotal experience, one of the things that annoys me the most in the world, that I've always been cautious of saying publicly, because I'm sure there are some number of parents watching this, and being a parent is hard. I've never done it myself. I don't intend to. You know, let's just have this in writing right now. If I have a child in the next, like, 2 or 3 years, it was an accident, right? Like, if I come out and I'm like, oh, I've got good news, she's pregnant, that's not me actually being excited. That's me having a mistake and, like, trying to milk it for YouTube views and pretending like it was a real-life decision. It wasn't. Let's throw that one out there as I want to clarify if it's, like, you know, like, 5 or 10 years down the line, maybe my mind's changed and I'm a crazy person. But, you know, I don't want to have children because it seems hard. But it seems as though there's, like, an attitude of, like, you know what? Having children seems hard, but what if we just did it without the effort bit? And that's where I kind of see the YouTube thing. It annoys me beyond belief just seeing children on tablets, like, entirely ignored because it's the easiest thing to do. And it's like, this isn't a good thing, and we shouldn't be legislating to make that easier. Should we? So yeah, I don't know, is that the same for everyone else? Like, this is one of those actual, like, I could be being wildly insensitive, or maybe, you know, I'm on the money of this one, but is it weird to anyone else that, like, literal 1, 2, 3-year-olds are just given magic screens with entertainment on, as opposed to whatever they did before? I don't actually know what children did before screens anymore. Like, I used to think back to my childhood, it's like, I played with toys, but, you know, at least that's, like, a physical thing. Is that just me being, like, an old man, though? Because, one of the best things about my childhood is that I was allowed to play video games. Like, for most, I have very strict aunts with their children. Like, I've got an aunt that was basically like, hey, there is an hour of video games a week, and there was an aunt that was like, no, you do not play video games. She didn't say they were the devil, but she was very anti-video game, I would say. And it's funny because I feel like for most people, that might actually be good advice. Like, I'm not too sure for sure. But for me, like, having played so many games kind of led me to the position I am now, right? Which is a very, very wildly fortunate position. You know how I mentioned, like, oh yeah, so things are going really badly right now. Things are like 66%, you know, 2/3 down. I make the same amount of videos, but I am being paid 2/3 less since September. The fact that I can deal with that and not be homeless, you know, think about how cool that is. Like, wow. Or you could see it the other way around, be like, wow, I got a 3 times pay increase for, you know, like, what was it, like June, May, and July or something like that. Wow, how exciting. There is this kind of cool, there's this really cool, really fun aspect to what I do and the results that come from it. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. I get to talk about my thoughts on sleep. I get to hopefully improve. Hopefully one person watches this and is like, oh, yeah, I should be paying myself first when I save. One person, that's cool to me that I can impact someone with this weird platform. You know, if someone looks at this and is like, yeah, maybe I should sleep more, or yeah, I am about to go to America for the first time, because a lot of people are. It's cheaper than ever before to go flying intercontinentally. Oh yeah, I'm about to fly to a different country. I'm gonna bring a pen. I just saved you so much misery, and that's cool that I can use this platform for that. And also at the same time, can use it to do other weird things like, hey, I've got a sponsorship coming up. Oh wait, you know okay, so I try not to talk money for the purpose of flexing, but for the purpose of honesty. Because again, the YouTubers are very, very hesitant to talk money, and sometimes it's fascinating on that level. But I have a deal coming in with Fiverr right now where they are paying me a very low, but still low in 4 digits is good, sum of money to produce a video that I kind of wanted to make anyway. Like, hey, what if I just buy ridiculous things? Wouldn't that be a... You know, buying ridiculous things is a fun concept for a video, because who doesn't love consumerism? Your boy does... Wait, your boy does love consumerism. Because like I said before, it's the thing that makes everything else possible. Do you think I'll be better in shape after spending lots of money on Fiverr? Who knows for sure. But yeah, basically, things are really, really cool. Even when they're like going down, even when like things are like, I don't know, like recently I felt like I lost the touch, the magic YouTube out. You know, the algorithm has been out of favor with me recently, which has been tragic. But even when things just seem bad for no reason, it's still one of the coolest things I do. And that has only been possible because I did something that even I wouldn't recommend to me as a child, but I was kind of just left alone, and that developed a lot of my skills. That's also probably arguably why, like, because I try to think sometimes, like, why is it that certain people have certain dispositions? Like, I would say I have a distrust of authority in general. I think I mentioned this before, but like, I'm like really, really prone to conspiracy theories. But then the only reason I don't believe in conspiracy theories is because the same logic that gets me into them is the same logic that gets them debunked. Like, hey, did you know that jet fuel can't melt steel beams? And I'm like, oh, that sounds crazy. What if that's true? And then, like, you know, I'm swayed by that argument. But then I'm immediately swayed by, like, oh, but it's because it's not that they needed to melt them. They needed to just weaken them enough so that the pressure could sustain them, because skyscrapers are heavy. And that's like, oh. Like, I get debunked on every conspiracy theory as fast as I get involved in it. Which is why, actually, funnily enough, you know, like, there is one conspiracy theory that I feel like is actually widespread, the something Epstein, right? Don't want to talk about it too much. If you don't know about it, then good for you. You are part of a small sector of the internet. But, yeah, I'm on the side that, like, maybe it was really that. Because, again, the my beliefs are just like, I like to be a contrarian. Someone says something, I believe the opposite. And that's why it's good that humans don't agree on everything, because it means that I can actually look at all the evidence. And I feel like that's a good way to look at the world, right? Try and prove every belief you have wrong. That's the scientific method. Why don't we apply it to things like, you know, politics or YouTube or things like this? Because there's a lot of YouTubers who spread nonsense all the time about, like, how to be big on YouTube or how to have a big video because it vaguely works for them or they can't disprove it, therefore it's true. There was a really, really big YouTuber, I won't say his name, he's in the same space as me, who genuinely believes you can't upload videos as scheduled because they will do worse. Like, a guy of millions of subscribers, he's very successful, but because somewhere along the way someone told him this, and because he started doing it and therefore he was successful, he's like, can't mess with this. There's a lot of you know, like, what's the most ridiculous thing I do that I know is ridiculous? I don't really buy bread because I waste a lot of it. That's not too ridiculous, actually. I went on a cold food diet because I ate hot food and it hurt my stomach, and I was like, maybe this is the solution. Oh wait, I've had ice cream for breakfast like 4 times, and I genuinely believe, like, oh yeah, all that sugar kickstarts my brain in the morning. It's like some people have their morning coffee. I drink a half melted tub of ice cream. It was delicious, by the way. I put cake in it. I was in America for a bit. It was actually, I went to a Trader Joe's, if you know what that is. They do, like, tubs of ice cream that are like a litre deep. I had like half of it melted and then put like a cake in there too. That was the best breakfast. I was fully invigorated, but I know that's a ridiculous thing to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know. I'm going to keep doing it because it's tasty. But, yeah, that's a ridiculous belief, right? But imagine believing it and not looking at that critically and being like, you know what? Maybe cake isn't the best thing to have in the morning. Maybe, you know, like, having a healthy banana or something would be a good idea. Those would be healthy conversations to have. Quite literally healthy conversations to have. And, yeah, that's why you should doubt yourself. Doubt all the pieces of advice I gave you, but then conclude, maybe you should give it a try. Because giving everything a try is a good idea. Which is why I have been covering this thing in stone. Because I felt like I should try that. It just requires so much more stone than I could ever realize. And therefore I have to go mining for a bit. Which is why you can expect... Oh, I've got more stone. You can expect some... Oh, I've got a lot more stone. You can expect some stone mining streams. Or I guess diamond mining streams. Some form of mining streams, like doing dull uninteresting things. Because I want to get back into streaming a little bit more. Because I'm going on Wednesday? I'm going in like 2 days. So one of the next 2 days, I want to stream. And we'll probably stream some stone mining. Because it ties into all of this. And, yeah, thank you very much for watching the video and the channel. And for those of you who have been here through the ups and downs that, again, lead to the wild milestones, like we hit 500 million views, but also lead to the periods where I'm like, you know what, is this even going to be a thing soon? I question myself all the time, and the people who are on these videos every week remind me that maybe things are going to be okay. And thank you for that, and hopefully I can remind you the same is true for you too. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.